Hey guys, Lizardlea here for Four Heavenly Beasts Day 78. So, I haven't put it back in the frame yet. So you get to see it in all its glory. Okay. Right here. We're gonna hope that this works. I can't see. I guess I could back up a little bit, huh? So, yeah, that Phoenix went, for me at least, from being like difficult to parse what it is to just instantaneous. Yep, that's a Phoenix. So, gonna frame it again a little bit more this way, that way, than before, and get to work. I'm not going to film myself every single time I frame it, so I'm probably not going to do it this time. I'm going to start Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. It's the sequel to One Dark Window. Very excited! Okay, I'm going to go cross stitch now. Okie dokie. The floor husband is back again, but he's in a chair.
Chair husband!
So, the first thing I have on the docket is a movie I didn't finish because I fell asleep. In the Mouth of Madness.
So, it's a classic horror film. It's part of the Apocalypse trilogy.
By John Carpenter.
It is a mix of good and bad, I will say that.
I mean, I was awake for like 3/4 of it, and I would say it was not good.
Well, that's the problem, is the good is near mostly the end.
Which isn't good enough for me.
Apparently.
Obviously, I fell asleep. Okay, it's an hour and a half.
Right? It's
and
a long movie,
the
yes.
majority of that was not good.
I mean, I thought it was fine. It wasn't awful. It's definitely slower, like many things John Carpenter. It's got that,
okay, see, but
pacing.
like everything else I can think of for John Carpenter, I loved. But like, this is just... This is trash.
I don't think it was trash.
It was trash to me, how's that?
It's really weird. There's a lot of... Like, I like that it had a lot of implied violence rather than straight-up violence. It's a very famous movie. And the ending is, there's a really trippy scene that's kind of, like, horrifying. And again, it's not, like, gross. It's just like, oh, God, the implications are terrible, yada, yada, yada.
See, and that's what I slept through, and that's probably the part of the movie I would have enjoyed the most.
Right, yeah. And the ending is also kind of that vibe. It's one of those ones where it's like, oh, God, this is bad.
I woke up just for the ending, and I was very disappointed, so I was like, yeah, I don't care enough about where it was going and where it ended up to watch the little section I might have enjoyed.
So here's the thing. If you like horror films and you've watched The Thing, it's one of 3 in the Apocalypse trilogy. Not that they are actually in any way, shape, or form related. It's just they all are John Carpenter horrifying movies. And the third one is... It's In the Mouth of Madness, The Thing.
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness.
Did we watch that one?
Wait. I'm thinking of Prince of Darkness. This is In the Mouth of Madness. Let me check something.
Wait, I thought In the Mouth of Madness is the one I fell asleep on.
No, well...
Was it Prince of Darkness?
Do you remember what the... Yeah, I think it's Prince of Darkness, where they were, like, holding up in the house and whatnot. Because In the Mouth of Madness is the really good one. I got confused. In the Mouth of Madness is great.
You know what? You're right. I did enjoy In the Mouth of Madness.
That's the author one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought we already discussed this, but I guess not. Okay, so sorry. Let me go back, because I was like, wow, I rated this higher than I remember, because I thought I didn't like it. No, In the Mouth of Madness was a 2 out of 5. It's worth watching, but, whatever. Sorry.
We know
Prince of Darkness is a 2 out of 5.
Okay.
It's worth watching, whatever. That's what we've been talking about. In the Mouth of Madness is really, really good. It is one of the most interesting horror films I've ever seen, and one of the most interesting cosmic horror things. I like seeing cosmic horror because it's a kind of horror that It's not exactly hard to do right. It's just not attempted often, and the few times it is attempted, it's usually poor. So I highly, highly recommend it if you like anything cosmic horror. It has one of the coolest shots I've ever seen. And it's not even, like, it's a special effect, and it's not even, like, it's that cool or that awesome or that unique in a sense. It's just that I've never seen anyone else even bother to do it, and it's such a neat concept.
Is it the one where he turns and looks at the wall and there's, like, this
No.
portal? No?
No,
I don't know.
it's kind of a fourth wall break and a spoiler, so I don't want to mess
Oh,
with
is it the end of the movie?
Not exactly, no. It's in the middle where he just, like... Liz has no memory of this
Oh, I
or
know.
Maybe she does.
Are you sure it's not close to the portal?
Maybe.
Because I feel like that's close to the portal scene.
It could be. But...
It's been a while since we watched this movie.
It is, yes.
Like, before we moved into the house, before we got married, like, all of that.
Yeah, it was a while. It was good, though.
Yes, In the Mouth of Madness was good. If it were on TV, I would watch it again. And so, like, on Wikipedia, you already talked about otherworldliness. It says, it pays tribute to the works of author H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
So, like, there you go.
I actually... So, strange point there, but I wish more horror people would try things that are cosmic horror outside of H.P. Lovecraft. Like, I don't care if you get a...
I mean, it didn't feel specifically like
No.
H.P. Lovecraft.
No, it didn't,
But, like,
but-
inspired by him, I could believe that.
In a weird way, like, it sort of limits where they're going to go. Like, I actually like this one because even though it was inspired by him, it doesn't feel like the many other movies where, like, they're either direct H.P. Lovecraft stories like
Cthulhu.
Color Out of Space, which was great, but whatever. Or they follow a very similar, like, oh, there's some big entity that you can't possibly understand thing. This feels so much more like, what's going on? How do I even deal with this, like, nightmare
Oh yeah,
realm?
there were absolutely times where I was confused and I was like, wait, what?
Do you read Sutter
And
Home?
then stuff clicked and I was like, oh my god. So,
Yeah, there's some truly excellent moments. And I love... There's a Twilight Zone episode from when I was a kid. Well, of course, they're all from when I was a kid. They're before I was born.
Yeah.
But I watched it when I was fairly young, maybe a teenager. And it's got this child who can warp reality. And it's terrifying because this child is basically God and does not have concepts of
they're a
morality
kid.
or life or death. You know, just throws a tantrum and gets you torn in half, sort of thing. Like, and this is the closest thing out there that I can think of to that kind of horror of how the child is warping reality. It's a similar level of, like, just reality is paper to somebody and you can't do anything about it. And it's just, it's really, really cool.
It was really cool.
All right, so
Prince of Darkness is the one where it's like a group of scientists.
Yes.
They all go into this one building and they're trying to figure out what's going on with this huge, like, tank
yes,
thing.
yes, that's that one.
Yeah, that was...
That was my mistake. I confused them.
Oh, I did the exact same thing.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I really
All I
much higher than
saw was like
remembered.
just a cover of the movie, and it
Well, the irony is
clear.
the entire time I was like, yeah, you know, when we talk about the other one, which was the one I was thinking this one wasn't, or which was the one this one was, I don't know, words. When we talk, I was thinking the entire time, boy, when we talk about In the Mouth of Madness, I'll have some good things to say, but Prince of Darkness was only okay, but I got them flipped, so.
Just now that was correct.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
like, while we were, it doesn't matter. Thanks for joining.
But the important thing to take away from this, for the Apocalypse trilogy, The Thing is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you like horror. If you
Easy.
dislike horror, I wouldn't recommend it because it can be very scary.
And
but
very
like,
gory.
It's very gory. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, one of the things that I like to talk about, because I really enjoy practical effects, I'm sure if you've heard anything about The Thing, you know someone gets their arms bitten off. They literally had a double amputee do that part because they didn't have to do anything. Because he could lift his hands up and lift his arms up because he didn't have hands.
Yeah, so they just had fake hands.
And it looked amazing because it was real. Like, I miss practical effects. I'm usually really good at catching CGI, and I don't care if practical effects look worse than CGI. I feel they're more believable, so I just enjoy them more.
Well, no, I think in general practical effects are almost always better because the lighting's correct, the shading's correct, because it's real.
And that's the issue.
It's just hiding. The only thing you need to do with practical effects is hide the fact that, like, oh, that's ketchup, or that's a rubber hand, or that's a... And so, just like with CGI, it depends on the quality. And just like with CGI, if you kind of mix the two to help cover the gaps, it works really, really well.
I do like them in conjunction with one another, not gonna lie.
Unfortunately, I think... Well, it doesn't matter. I can get off on that all day. But yeah, there's just so much that... you can do with practical effects. It's just, unfortunately, the industry seems to bounce back and forth between, like, well, practical effects are really, really expensive, so we'll just spend millions on CGI that'll look half as good. Like,
yeah,
it's a tricky spot in the industry, but I think the big thing is that while CGI may cost a lot, at least from a, like, you know, the guy running the project's point of view, they probably deliver on time more consistently, because it's not like, oh, yeah, we broke the prop, or like no one else can break your props, no one else can screw it up. It's just the CGI guys, so you can section them out into their own little department in the budget and their own little management team. It's not, okay, prop team made all these props, they had to work with the actors for hours, and now don't screw it up. Although I say that out loud as I'm thinking of that, I can think of like 3 excuses where that's not true. Like an actor having their fingers splayed versus having their fingers closed can cost the CGI team hours and hours of work, because they were like, oh, go look at all this stuff behind me, and they leave their fingers open, and now they have to, on every frame, you know, fill in the stuff behind
together.
it. You know,
okay, I understand.
And versus if his fingers were together, you wouldn't have to go between the fingers of every frame.
Around it.
So there's lots of little things like that, but whatever. I don't know the industry.
I didn't see it, but whatever one Henry Cavill was Superman in, where they had to CGI his mustache, I saw clips of that. That was bad.
I didn't notice.
I didn't see it, but I literally only saw those clips, and I was like, oof. Like, I understand he literally couldn't shave because they got him after the fact because they did reshoots or whatever. But, like, dude, just have Superman with a mustache. Like, at that point, like,
yeah, that was
it was bad. But you did mention blood with realistic quality, and I don't know. I can't think of any movies where it's been, like, really good. Because, like, I know a lot of people, their favorite scene in The Shining is the blood coming out of the elevator. And I literally laughed as a high schooler when I saw it, because it looks like juice. As an adult, it still looks like juice. It was juice. I'm just saying, like, it's juice, and it looks like juice. I can appreciate it, especially having learned more about the behind the scenes of, like, they had one shot at that, and they were like, we didn't expect it to come out of the elevator that way, and it was perfect. My husband just texted me for some reason.
Yes, love you.
And, like, the way it moves is spectacular, but it looks like juice. And I have the exact same complaint for Johnny Depp's death in Nightmare on Elm Street, where he gets sucked into the bed, and then the blood goes shooting out of the bed. It's juice, and it looks like juice. Like, I know it's hard to get that consistency, but, like, that is something that takes me out.
Immediately.
We don't bleed juice.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to add to that other than it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they're both spectacular shots. Like, the elevator one, you know, the liquid did not go the way they expected, but it was spectacular. And then the Nightmare on Elm Street one, they filmed upside down, and then they flipped it in post, so it looks like the blood is shooting up like a geyser. Yeah. Which is super cool. Yeah. I will absolutely.
There's a lot of really clever things you can do if you're willing to actually put the work in, you know, and it makes things look so much better because you're like, oh my gosh, that looks real. Because, yeah, it basically is. It's just your perspective, or you're this or you're that.
Yeah. Oh, I love perspective. The first kill in Nightmare on Elm Street, they literally had a whole room in, like, a cylinder. So they turned it so it looked like she was being dragged around the walls, but she was just moving with the walls turning.
Well, to sort of add to perspective tricks. The two more famous and maybe...
Inception's hallway.
Sorry, I meant famous from when I was young.
Oh, okay.
But yes,
I did love
Inception's
that scene,
hallway is
though.
a big one. In fact, everything he does is like the big scene in Tenet where he crashes the plane, real plane crashing into a real building, and then they sold the plane, or something like that, and he made money, just like the corn in Interstellar. But in Interstellar, there's a cornfield. And so he just grew a cornfield because it was cheaper than finding a cornfield to shoot on, and then he sold all the corn and made a profit on that part of the set.
I don't think I've seen Interstellar. That's why I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right, it's on your list.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Well, spoilers, there's
corn.
corn!
I like corn, so.
Now she knows about the corn. But no,
Is it Children of the Corn? Because
the
I've seen
two
that
big ones
movie.
that I learned about growing up were 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it looks like the guy's running around
when
the
he's
space
running
ring.
around.
And then, which is just such a clever trick. Well, it's an amazing set, but it's a clever trick. And then the Lord of the Rings. For a lot of those shots,
Oh, it's just perspective of who's standing closer to the camera.
well, it's not just perspective of who's standing closer.
But they did do
They
that
have to
a lot.
design the entire set with that in mind. We're like, okay, we're going to have the camera right here, so this bookshelf is actually 3 different bookshelves, so that, it looks normal while Gandalf looks big and, Frodo looks tiny.
Oh, yeah.
Itty bitty. Yeah, or whatever. So,
They were spectacular on those, man.
that's my speech on that.
So, bouncing off of that to one of the worst movies I have ever seen is The Flash from 2023.
Oh my god.
Okay, so one of my favorite storylines in DC Comics is... Okay, I need to silence my phone because you guys won't shut up. And you're not paying attention.
I am. I'm marking it as discussed.
Flashpoint. I love Flashpoint. The idea of Barry Allen, the Flash, running so quickly, he rewinds time, and sometimes it alters time. Okay, well, he rewinds time. If you don't know Flashpoint, sorry, the spoiler, I guess, but I mean, this is all pretty early on, isn't it? He runs back in time to save his mom from dying.
Yes.
And then he goes back to his current time because he's like, oh, nothing will change, but my mom will be alive again. Yay! And she'll know who I am because
Yay.
I won't be a child anymore because his mom was killed when he was a child.
Yes.
And the universe alters so drastically from that point on that some heroes have become villains and whatnot, and it's just, I love it. And the DC animated movie for Flashpoint and the ones revolving around it,
Flashpoint
love.
Paradox, yeah.
10 out of 10. I have rewatched them several times, and I've enjoyed them several times, every single time.
Oddly enough, it's Flashpoint Paradox in one of the Suicide Squad movies. That's what she's referring to.
Yes, I loved that Suicide Squad one.
And it links the Flashpoint Paradox in a way that you would not expect at all. It would be incredibly confusing had you not seen Flashpoint Paradox, but...
It's spectacular. Like, one of my favorite twists ever. Ever.
Ever.
And then this movie is just, it's so bad. And like, I
There's
understand all the controversy around Ezra Miller, the guy who plays Barry Allen. That is not why I dislike the movie.
Oh,
It
it's
doesn't
just
help it, not
yeah.
gonna lie, because it's like, ugh, he's a skeevy person, I don't like that. He's not a good actor.
I don't even care about that. It's just poorly
He
written.
plays 2 parts in the movie, and he's not good. It makes it so much worse.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know who could have pulled off that script. Like, again, this is one where, like, I don't know if Ezra Miller's good or bad. I do know that I can't think of a single actor who could have saved that script.
I mean, I'm just saying Lindsay Lohan, I thought, was twins because of The Parent Trap.
Sure.
She plays off of herself perfectly. Or
Right.
at least she did as a kid.
But, again, she also had a script
She had a
that
good
helped
script.
that.
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't think Lindsay
The
Lohan
whole-
could have saved
The
that.
whole movie was trash.
Yeah.
The writing was trash. Oh, okay, wait. The only good part about the movie was Michael Keaton coming back to play Batman.
Even
because
that's
he was
mainly
funny.
just sad.
I mean, it was only like, what, 2 minutes? I enjoyed those 2 minutes because I was
Most
like, oh my
of them
god,
were just
good
like, oh my
actor.
god, do you remember this scene? Do you remember this scene? It mixed with, like, okay, there are 3 things I have to say about this movie. 1, there's a surprising amount of spaghetti. My friend gives, like,
true.
1-sentence reviews of movies, like, John Wick 3, a confusing amount of horses, and they're usually useless and not even based in reality, and just, it's always fun to quote him, but no, that movie legitimately has a confusing amount of spaghetti.
I do remember.
I don't know if
this,
it was funded by Big Spaghetti or what, but like if you see this film, there's a lot of spaghetti for a movie that has no need to be about spaghetti. And it's not just in the one scene where the spaghetti kind of makes sense, where it's like, oh, that is a very good way to establish this. It's like the rest of it's like they were like, well, we already bought 80,000 gallons of spaghetti for that one scene because we thought we'd have to do 300 takes because we assumed Michael Keaton couldn't function. I don't know. Whatever. A lot of spaghetti. So 2, there's a lot of spaghetti. 2, the opening is kind of funny. Like, there's this scene where he's got to save a baby while it's falling before it falls into a microwave. Like, it's the most ridiculous, over-the-top thing ever. I was like, oh, okay, so this movie's going to be a little self-aware of how stupid it is and have some fun with it.
A false sense of security.
And then it doesn't, like, again, its tonal whiplash is so bad that it's like, okay, we lost all the fun. Now we're doing typical romance things mixed with, you know, slashing and burning the original plot, mixed with, like, even if you don't know Flashpoint, not really delivering on what they're trying to do, mixed with, like, trying to bash out tropes. And then 3, yes, Michael Keaton is in it, and I see that as a mostly bad thing. If you're going to come back to play Batman, it's the perfect role for him to come back and play Batman as, because if you don't know Flashpoint Paradox, when Flash comes back, everything's messed up, and one of the things that's messed up is Bruce Wayne died in the shooting in the alley. So his father
became Batman.
Can't remember his name, Wayne, at the moment, becomes Batman, and he is not the Batman his son was. He's
vengeful.
Yeah,
and
he's not
he kills people.
Philanthropic billionaire. He runs a casino. He runs a chain of casinos, and he carries guns and shoots villains and keeps them down. So,
but the better part, I don't know, do they usually do it where his mom becomes the Joker?
And his mom becomes the Joker because she's driven insane.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because that is so just depressing, which normally I would not love. But I mean, it's Flashpoint. Like, you have to be shocking.
If you're gonna do, like, an alt history thing, that is a fun one that has a lot of potential. However, none of that exists in this film. Because Michael Keaton's just old Batman. And, of course, yes, he's Michael Keaton Batman, so we're going to make references to... Like, it's unclear if it's supposed to actually be the same universe as him versus the Joker Batman. I don't believe it's supposed to be, but we still make those lines and, you know, let's get nuts. Yeah, because that's the quotable line from the movie. It hurts. It hurts so much because it's like many of these things, you're just sitting here, if you're a jaded grump like me, thinking, God, you had all the money and you had the talent, and you just dropped the ball. You refused to do what everyone wanted to see here. There are so many cool ways you could have done this. Anyone off the street who's a remote fan of any of this stuff could have been like, oh, do a scene like this, do a scene like... And instead, you've just got... just garbage. It was garbage.
It was so bad.
Oh, sorry. I have 4 things to say about that movie. The cameo at the end is kind of funny, but also screw you.
I don't remember this.
The post-credits cameo?
I don't remember.
Where he goes and he's like, oh, we're back to my normal world. And he's like, I gotta go talk to Bruce. And Bruce Wayne pulls up and gets out, and it's George Clooney.
And it's a different actor. That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's like, all right, again.
I did like that.
If they had kept it on that wavelength, it would have been fine.
It would have been funny.
But because they couldn't commit to the original Flashpoint Paradox plot because it's too long to fit in one movie, doesn't really work with a child star, even though Ezra's not, he's supposed to be a kid, and 3, doesn't really work. It's darker than they want to shoot for, basically. It's pretty messed up. But they just butchered it. They didn't even try. They were just like, okay, you have 5 minutes to write an alternate script for this that's PG-13. What? Yep, those words are going in the script. Like, keep going.
So one of the first things when I type in The Flash 2023, people also ask, was The Flash 2023 good? From the very beginning, there was absolutely no winning for this movie. I'll start with some minor complaints. The best thing about this movie is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, which I disagree with for the middle section. It definitely tried to take itself seriously in the middle. And this motion picture had absolutely nothing going for it.
Yeah, would not recommend. It's not even a fun bad movie. Like, there are bad movies that I've seen, like The Avengers, 1999.
Yeah, where you can just sit there,
it's like, oh my God,
and make fun of it, and it's great.
Yeah, like, it's so wacky and weird that you don't know what's going to happen next, so you're, like, waiting for the next scene of just, like, what nonsense? Like, oh, look, Sean Connery's in a kilt telling us to buy his weather from him that he already sells. I'm confused. But this isn't even... unique there. It's just like, I don't know. I'm sure there's people who love this film, and I hold nothing against you if you do. But for me, it was just a disappointment, and it's probably one of the worst movies I've bothered to sit through. And that most bad movies, I just go, nope, I'm not going to like that, and I don't see it. And this is one of the ones where the conditions align, that everyone's like, oh, let's watch this. And I'm like, okay. And I regret it.
Yeah. We didn't even have to pay for it, right? Because it was on, like, one of our
streaming or something,
so
yeah.
we were like, all right, Robert said, let's watch it. It's trash. It's not worth it.
Didn't we watch it with Robert?
I think we did.
Yeah, that's like such a bad indictment of the movie that like it was me, Robert, and Liz, because Robert's our other snobby movie friend. But whenever we watch a bad movie, we can usually still make it funny because me and him and Liz will just start saying horrible things about the film or silly things about it. This wasn't even fun to riff on, other than, you're right, that's a lot of spaghetti.
It was a miserable experience. Like, I would watch the Avengers again with you guys. That was hilarious. That would be so much fun.
I'm not even sure, like, I don't even know that I could spoil that movie for myself having, like, remembered it, because I don't know what I watched. Like, I'm pretty sure I could watch it again and be like, does this happen next? Oh, no, it doesn't, because this is shot terribly, and it's confusing. Does this happen next? Oh, yeah, it does, even though that makes no sense right now.
See, and I've watched it several times. I probably will remember it a lot better. We had it on VHS when I was a kid, and I thought it was really cool and really fun.
And you thought it was Reservoir Dogs.
I thought it was Reservoir Dogs. It's like, oh, that's the one.
With the colors.
With the colors and the bear suits, right?
Yes, and then no.
No.
What next?
Next is Time Cop.
Time Cop.
With Jean-Claude Van Damme.
My review for this movie in my notes is Time Cop.
Time Cop.
Which, like, really, honestly, kind of nails it.
We watched this on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And it was on our way leaving the honeymoon. Because our checkout was at like 11, but we couldn't leave the island for like 5 hours or whatever. So like, all right, what do we have queued up?
Lots of traveling nonsense,
and Time Cop was on there, and a lot of times they would just be like, Time Cop. So then we started doing it.
Yeah, he's a Time Cop. I'm here to Time Cop. Sometimes he's wrong, but he's still a Time Cop. So I mean, like, this is one of the only... Okay, so this is the dumbest stuff, but... Time Cop has inspired various video games I've played over the years, like many other movies from that era, the action movies from that era. It's one of the only ones I haven't seen. Like, I've seen... Actually, I don't think I've seen the original Rambo either, to be fair, any of the Rambos. I've seen clips of them.
Wow.
I hear the original Rambo's actually good and the others are whatever.
Yeah, the original was good.
Yeah. But Time Cop's been on that list, and ironically, one of the reasons is because there's a game called Broforce, I think it's called, where you play as various characters. I've never shown you Broforce. Oh, you'd love it. Yeah, you play as various characters from 90s action films as you go through like a side-scroller and just murder your way through whatever level in little pixel art. And so it's got all the characters. You know, you can be MacGyver, who's like throwing explosive turkeys with dynamite in them. You can be the, oh my god, what's his name?
Oh my god, is that Mr. T?
Probably.
Oh,
they probably added expansion since I last played.
That's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes. He's in there like 3 times.
Oh, definitely. But the lamentation of your women. I don't know the... Oh my god.
While she works that out, Time Cop had a really cool weapon in that game. And I'm like, yeah, I've never seen that movie. I've seen Universal Soldier. My wife is over here like blue screening. Please hold. While she reboots her brain. She's just gonna keep like staggering here. I'm worried she'll stop breathing.
I'm not. Don't even try that.
She's figuring.
I hated this movie.
What was it about?
But it's Conan.
Oh, Conan the Barbarian. Yes.
I hated that movie.
Oh, Ash from Evil Dead's in it too.
Oh, I love it.
He's got his shotgun and his chainsaw. And so like each character has like
a
main weapon and then like a super weapon at the bare minimum. And I think that's it.
Does he say like, "This is my boomstick"?
Oh, they've got all the weird quotes.
Okay,
I think.
good.
I don't know. Well, they kind of
one
imply things because they can't. Like, they didn't get rights for this. This was a super cheap game that just came out of nowhere. So they're all, you know, free use versions of like famous things. But I mean, then again, RoboCop looks like freaking RoboCop. So I don't know. Maybe they did. Point is, it's fun, and that's what I was like. Yeah, I should play Time Cop, or I should watch Time Cop one of these days because I've seen its guns in like all these different games. And so I watched Time Cop, and the gun wasn't even cool. So
we didn't do anything about what the movie's about.
It's about Time
It's set
Cop.
in the future, where humans now have the ability to travel through time, and so they have to have enforcers to make sure that people aren't altering the timeline really badly.
It's the
And
worst
I think
version.
it's a bad guy goes into the past to try and become like a bajillionaire or whatever.
Yes.
And so Jean-Claude Time
Duck
is sent to go
Stop
fix it and whatnot.
I feel like that was implied by Time Cop, and I'm only half joking because I mean, if you were like, well, what's the most tropey plot I can think of that involves the words Time Cop? You probably guessed the plot. You also guessed the twist at the end. Congratulations, yeah, the Time Cop. Time Cop and his partner Time Cop. Time Cop is here. It's milk time.
I guess.
Beware Time Cop.
Oh my
This was the only reason the movie was tolerable. Just an hour and a half of this nonsense.
I mean, I don't think it's the only reason it was tolerable. It was the reason you rated it higher than a 1.
I'm a Time
because
Cop.
we laughed.
And this
the
is my
whole
partner,
time
Time
through
Cop.
Moo.
I gave it a 3 out of 5. So
Yeah, see, it's not a 1 because
Yeah, it
we
wasn't-
laughed the whole way through it.
And it wasn't just because we're making fun of it. As far as like weird action movies from that era go, it's not bad. It's just it doesn't.
by no means.
It's
yeah.
not like one of the standouts that I'd be like, oh, well, you've got to see Terminator, you've got to see Terminator 2, you've got to see Alien, you've got to see Alien. You know, there's a lot
like,
of things.
It's, I mean, I guess it's a classic in the sense that it's from '94, but like, it's not a timeless movie.
It's Time Cop. Time Cop is timeless.
Versus Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, like, anytime, any day, I will watch those movies.
Hey, look, better time travel story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, is there a better time travel movie than Terminator and Terminator 2?
I would argue yes.
With the Bruce
Looper?
Willis one, Looper.
That's not the Bruce Willis. Oh, that is a Bruce Willis one. The Bruce
Yeah.
Willis one to most
Oh,
people
12
is
Monkeys.
12 Monkeys.
I like both of those, but
I think Looper's
a big
Looper or
problem
Primer?
for me is I grew up on Terminator 1 and Terminator 2.
Yes.
So, like, I not only
They're
have
up there.
nostalgia for them, I still love them as an adult.
For those of you who have no idea what's going on right now, the short answer to this is if you want a fun action flick that happens to have time travel in it, Looper's good. And if you want an incredibly scientifically accurate time travel movie and what that would look like, watch Primer and be ready to do homework. Or you could watch Terminator 1 and 2 like a normal person.
Okay, but Primer actually was pretty good, and I followed it quite well.
Yeah.
Like, there's a graph for the movie, and I think there were a couple sections where I was like, okay, I need to look at this graph, and okay, this is, all right. But for the most part, I was like, yeah, I followed that. Like, I got that.
Yeah, but it's
I was
also
very proud
not.
of myself.
It expects you to pay attention and
Oh,
follow
absolutely.
along. It's not gonna spoon.
It does not
you.
spoon feed you at all.
I mean, it's not aggressively hostile like a few movies I've seen, but it is difficult.
Like, it is a science movie. Like, I thought it was really good. I would recommend it if you're interested in, like, legitimate time travel.
And I would recommend Time Cop if you like Time Cop.
Time.
Coming soon, the sequel, Time Cop.
So, I think the best movie we're going to discuss today, Thank You for Smoking.
Yep.
I remember hearing about this movie as a kid. And so I was born with asthma. And I was like, I will die before I watch a movie called Thank You for Smoking. Like, I'm not a smoker. And I don't like smokers because I'm fine with people want to harm themselves. But if you're a smoker, you're actively harming all the people around you, whether it's your loved ones or whether it's complete strangers, because it clings to you. And yes, I have had asthma attacks from secondhand smoke because I don't smoke. And so I was really bitter about that for a very, very long time. And then David mentioned it, and I was like, what? No, I'm not going to watch that. And he's like, no, Liz, it's a comedy. Like, it's a funny, good movie. They acknowledge that smoking is bad for you. And I was like, but why is it titled Thank You for Smoking?
Yes.
Like, I did zero research into the movie. I judged it based solely on the title. And I mean, like, as an asthmatic child, you know, like, there are worse things I could have judged unfairly. But, loved the movie. I definitely recommend it.
So, okay, here's two things I like to say about this movie. One, it's a straight up good movie. When I ramble about debate and whatnot, I think this is one of the best examples of how you think in like competitive debate and whatnot, because what people don't get is it's not about convincing your opponent, it's about convincing your audience. And this is a wonderful primer on that, and I know that's probably not interesting to anybody but me, but that's part of why it's so good, is because it's kind of showing about this is how companies and people who their job is to convince people think, work, and act. It doesn't matter what they believe, it doesn't matter what they think is right. If you were told for $100 million, you must convince that audience while arguing with this stranger that you're right, this is the movie you want to watch first. It'll give you at least a primer on it. Primer. 2. I have always been really annoyed about this film because we watched it in college. And I was like, oh, this is I don't remember if it was for political science or film or whatever. I'm like, this is really clever. Because the professor immediately asked in it, what did you guys notice about the film? And so various people kept saying stuff. And I, didn't want to be, I was usually one of the ones who would always have my hand up eventually anyway, so I was curious to see if anyone else noticed it, and no, they didn't, but they're not as much into movies as I am and whatnot. So I was like, I raised my hand, I'm like, I think I know what he's looking for. And I said, yeah, no one smokes in the entire film.
Yep.
And he's like, no, that's not right. I'm like, what? And like 3 other students were like, yeah, no, somebody smoked. I'm like, no, they didn't. I was looking for it because I thought it would be interesting to see if the movie that's anti-smoking by pretending it's pro-smoking has smoking, and they don't. And so, for the record, count along while you watch, nobody smokes.
And I appreciated that.
But it actually does kind of show a really interesting... It seems dramatic to call it the ethical dilemma, but the ethical problem for someone who's a lobbyist, maybe it is even a dilemma of like, he knows what he's doing is probably not really right for his child, but also, the freedom of rights versus like, well, this is what we're doing. And no one's really portrayed, I think, inaccurately. They're pretty... They also take shots at like the various congressmen and senators who don't really care about the issue, usually, beyond getting people to agree with them. So, there's a very interesting moment where a senator or whatever gets egg on his face and is saying, well, that's because you got the wrong cancer child, and it's like, yeah, I would believe those conversations could happen because I've been in this room when conversations akin to that have happened. And it's important that people understand that's how most of these people see these issues, not as, oh, wow, this is, morally wrong, we need to do the right thing. That's what they'll say on camera, but when they're in their own rooms, when they're with their team strategizing, it's, well, did you get a kid who looks sick enough? Because I don't want to go out there if the kid doesn't look sick, things like that.
Yeah.
So that's an extreme example, mind you, but they're very pragmatic and strategic.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a wonderful portrayal of the reality of most of that. It's still dramatic in some ways, but it's mostly it's kind of a comedy.
Oh, it's absolutely a comedy.
Yeah, it's weird to call it a comedy because it's dealing with such heavy issues, but yeah, it's a comedy, I think.
I mean, I remember laughing.
Satire is probably the better word.
Okay.
But yeah, and it really covers pretty much everything about not just the cigarette industry, but all of these ethically, morally questionable industries, or just how any industry or advertisement gets done. Like, they're talking about how this stuff gets put in movies, what happened with, the Marlboro Man, how these companies handle senators and congressmen, and how congressmen and senators handle these issues, and his kid's kind of caught in the middle of it because he's divorced but with a child, and not in a dark oh gosh, I'm so sad all the time sort of way, but just like this kid's growing up and like, hey dad, can I smoke? Those kinds of like tougher questions in some ways because they're very real, and it's kind of splitting the difference. But yeah, I really, really respect this film. I think it's excellent. I think almost everyone should watch it because it's on my list of like, this will give you a better understanding of what's going on and why. Because if you think that they're acting strange, I promise that's how it goes to some extent. It might be a little dramatized, it might be more relaxed, but the dinners, the conversations, all of it, it's there. So, yeah.
Do you want to do the brief overview of what the movie's actually about?
I mean, it's a smoking lobbyist trying to get people to smoke while dealing with a senator who's trying to pass a bill that, will make them put, diseased lungs and whatnot on the packaging mixed with his slightly more dramatic problems with a reporter and an activist group while he raises his child. So there's your blurb.
I don't remember. I feel like it was in my AP government class in high school where our or maybe it was sociology my junior year, something like that, where we were discussing like smoking and whatnot. And one of the things that came up was if you research into like the CEO of a cigarette company, they will almost certainly not be smokers themselves.
Oh yeah.
Because in order to become that successful, you usually can't have, something that is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Debilitating hobby doesn't sound right. Vice?
Yeah.
Like one that could absolutely kill you and generally lowers people's life expectancy. Like, I don't know if it was actually said in the movie or not, but I've always thought that was really interesting because it's like, yeah, they're selling all these cigarettes to people, encouraging them to smoke, but they themselves do not smoke.
Pretty much, yeah. They touch on all that too. And I mean, that's actually kind of one of the interesting things in that most legal vices that have companies that sell them, the top of their food chain doesn't partake in said vice in any significant quantity. Like, maybe the occasional cigar, maybe the occasional drink, but not, what they're selling. Ironically, they all do a lot of cocaine though, at the top of the chain, and, definitely illegal. So if we ever get a cocaine conglomerate, then we'll see if they're still partaking of their own vice. Pretty sure the coffee conglomerates drink lots of coffee.
Oh, I could bet on that.
Yeah.
Coffee's still nasty though. All right. The last movie I have prepared is Memento, which I saw with my mom many moons ago.
Many moons.
And we talked a lot throughout the movie. And if you know anything about Memento, well, actually, I should probably let you do your spiel first, huh?
Yeah, that's one where I should probably start. So, Memento is a film that's told forward to back and back to front simultaneously. You will figure this out very quickly. It is the point of the film. It focuses on a character who has short-term memory loss. So in order to deal with that, he tries to take notes and do other things. But that's why you're seeing this movie in such a weird way, where you'll see one entire scene with no cuts, but the moment there's a cut, it'll now be another scene from the beginning of the film, because that first scene was the end of the film, and now we go to the beginning of the film and see an entire scene with no cuts, and then we cut and we go back to the next scene that was before the scene you cut from at the end of the film, and then you cut back and now you're at the scene that was after the scene you started at the beginning of the film, and that's how the movie plays out. There is an edited version where they put it all in order for you if you must, but it is designed to be watched this way. It was Nolan's, I think, first big hit, and thus has more practical effects. It's purposely done this way to try and cause you to also, somewhat empathize with the problem that the guy is going through, where it's like, I don't remember what just happened. Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, what's going on here? Why is this happening? Because there'll be moments where he's confused and you're confused because we just cut back to a scene that you haven't seen in a few minutes, and then he remembers, usually about the same time as you do, what's going on because, oh, yeah, this happened. Am I chasing this guy? Oh, no, he's chasing,
Yes, okay. Even when I was watching with my mom, I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm chasing him. Oh, no, he's chasing me.
Yeah. So, with that said, Liz had a very mixed memory of the movie because it's already weird, but she was like, oh, no, this person's the bad guy, this person's the good guy. And I was like, that doesn't sound like the movie I watched, so...
Yeah, so I will say, as someone who has now watched it twice, you do need to pay attention. If you are a talker, keep it to a minimum or pause it, because it is important that you pay attention to this film and that you listen to all the dialogue. Because if you talk over it, you're going to get confused, and then the other person, if you're watching with someone else, is also going to get confused, and then you're just going to confuse each other trying to sort it out and talking over more, and you're going to think it's crap because you don't understand it.
Yes, it requires, just kind of like Primer, which we rambled about, you need to pay attention, and it's very morally, and that's not morally ambiguous, it's just ambiguous, it's just very brutal in some ways, in that it's so sad and messed up and just like broken people sort of thing, and like what's going on in that film isn't okay, and it's not something I would ever do, but like if what you're told is true, which it probably is. It's still like a heartbreaking scenario, and like the final step in logic that a certain character takes that leads to everything, the events of the movie, is where like any normal human would be like, and you did what? But everything else leading up to that, it's like, yeah, that would be heartbreaking and miserable, and I can sort of understand, at least up until that point, doing what you did. It's the, well, tried that, now I guess we'll do this, that is like, wait, what? But yeah, if you happen to know who... Well, the most popular use of the meme that I can think of is Gaben. Gabe Newell from Steam, owner of Valve. And he keeps saying, Half-Life 3 and this and that. There was a very popular thing on the internet for a while where they just showed his picture on a Polaroid with the words, "Don't believe his lies" underneath, and that's from this movie. So, if you'd like to know the source of your meme, this is the movie.
This is the movie.
And it's one of my favorites. I think it's a great film. It still holds up. It's unique. Like, I value uniqueness a lot in narratives because I've seen so many where, like, yeah, I've seen this before, I've seen this before, I've seen this before. I haven't seen anything like Memento. And even if you were to not do the gimmick of intersplicing the movie, even though it's an earned gimmick where, like, it actually brings something to the film that you wouldn't have otherwise, that you need to understand it better, it would still be a good film in my eyes. Just because the whole story, the whole concept, everything that's going on is so interesting. So, yeah.
Like, I will give it that. It is a very interesting film. I think it's okay. I have no desire to watch it again. I do like it more than Pulp Fiction, the only other movie I can think of that's specifically filmed out of order. Or, given to the audience out of order, whatever. But, yeah, it happened. So, on the screen now is me reacting to the last 10 minutes of a chapter in One Dark Window. And I did it at 10 times speed, so it's going to go by really fast and I'm going to look super crazy. But it's really hard for me to listen to an audiobook when I'm not doing something like cross-stitching. So I was like, all right, I have to be very animated with my reactions. I have to feel this with my whole body. And
she does.
I absolutely do. That's how I am. Even when I'm cross-stitching, I'm just like...
This is why I jumped One Dark Window to the front of her list, Tolka. Because your series isn't finished, and I knew she would love this.
Oh, I loved it.
One Dark Window and Starter Villain were easy slam dunks.
Oh, I loved Starter Villain, too. So, yeah, where we're doing the narration for this, I've read a lot more than what's being
past
discussed
Liz
in
knows.
this. I almost called this a movie. This video.
The outro that you're about to watch.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the future and she's in the past because we're Time
Cop.
Next time on
Time
Cross Stitch Time Cop. Or would it be oom? Because moo backwards is oom.
Ah, gotcha.
God
I don't
help
know
any of
if
you who
it's-
stuck around for that.
I don't know if it's past it or not, but at one point it looks like I slammed my fist on the desk. That isn't what I was doing. There was a fight going on, and I was like, oh, the people's elbow! And so it looks like I'm angry and hitting my desk. That's not what's happening. I'm hyping up for the fight. So, yeah. You will get to hear the last couple of lines from the book because I reacted to it in a way that I thought was amusing.
I'd watch a sequel to Jean-Claude Van Damme called Time Clop. It's got like a Air Bud vibe. Like they're going back in time, but this time
there's a cow.
Like, just, I'm sure he'd be down for it. Like, pay him enough. Like, sure, why not? I'll take free money, and I'm sure we could airbud this somehow. I mean, that's a real talk about practical effects versus CGI. That's what I'm okay with CGI when you're dealing with animals because it's hard to deal with animals. Or better yet, you just get a cow that mainly stands and doesn't do anything, and you make all the action in every scene revolve around the fact that the cow is mostly just standing there and not moving.
I could get behind that, especially if they definitely do nothing to endanger the cow.
Quick, travel back in time 30 seconds, and the cow moves like 2 inches, and it trips a guy. I'm just saying, I'm open for script writing.
I would enjoy that so much.
I have reasonable rates. Reach out to me if you're a Hollywood producer looking to make a sequel. I hear those are popular right now. Hear me out. Time Clop. I'm sure he's on board. And cows, I hear we still have lots of cows, so it's easy to find a cow.
They are really
Most people
cute.
can't even tell if it's a stunt cow or a normal cow.
A stunt cow?
I am making this up as I go along. Please stop pretending I'm making sense. Time Clop.
Time Club.
I didn't ask you to do that. No,
Elspeth
but
did.
Elspeth did.
Yes!
Chapter 30.
Oh. 718. Chapter 30. Oh my god. I'm only halfway through this book. That is like the longest chapter that that book has had so far. It was almost 10 minutes of me ready to do my outro, and it still kept going. I'm halfway through the book. I'm tired. It's getting dark. So that is the end of 4 Heavenly Beasts, Day 78. I got 4 hours and 29 minutes of footage, so progress. You can really see the mandible of the dragon now. I googled it to double check. Mandible is this. Maxilla is like all of this, basically. But it's looking good. So excited. So here's the back. I mean, honestly, you can still tell that it's kind of a dragon and a phoenix. Like, but I don't think there's anything, like there's a couple stitches down here, but I don't think there's any in the phoenix anymore. I need to like double check to make sure I didn't miss anything, honestly. Yeah. I think the first one starts right here, which is still technically part of the phoenix, but still. Yeah, the majority of it is really dark or blue. Like, I think I need to like look at this in the image. Okay, so these are his claws, and the dragon has like an orb here-ish. Actually, maybe it's here? I don't know. I don't know how big it is. It's hard to tell. But he's got a claw wrapped around an orb. So, not much longer for this page, I think. Although, don't know how much you guys should trust me, so I'm gonna yawn. I'm really tired. I'm hungry, so I'm gonna choke on my spit. I'm having a day, you guys. I'm having a day. I want to finish that book, but I can't. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next video.